A common misconception about Kurapika is that he only has access to this power when fighting Phantom Troop members, but the reality is the only ability exclusive to fighting the Phantom Troop is Chain Jail. Hey, what's up everybody? It's LeeLos, and today we're talking about why Killua versus Kurapika is obvious. Stay steady in pursuit of your dreams and goals. You're born to win, you're made for greatness, and I definitely believe in you guys. Keep up the great work each and every day. So Killua versus Kurapika is a battle between two of the smartest and most well-rounded fighters in the entirety of the Hunter x Hunter verse. Today we're going to analyze all of the power-ups and abilities these two geniuses receive throughout every major arc of the series to find out overall who's more powerful than who between these two characters. To start the video off, we have Hunter Exam Kurapika versus Hunter Exam Killua. During the Hunter exams, Kurapika was more or less relative to, but slightly weaker than Gon Freaksis, shown by Kurapika stating that he was unable to keep up with Gon and Killua during the running portions of the exam and being impressed by Gon's strength and physical abilities numerous times over. Meanwhile, Killua was considerably more powerful than Gon in every single category, to the point where Killua could react to attacks that Gon couldn't even see coming, and after the Hunter exams conclude, Gon and Kurapika both have to go through an entire training arc just to be able to open the lightest level of Killua's front door. So despite having genius level intellect, Kurapika was nowhere near Killua's level at this point in the series. Soon after this, Kurapika goes off to train and learn the basics of Nen with his Nen master Izunavi, while Gon and Killua go off to train for 6 months in Heaven's Arena with their Nen master Wing. During this time, Kurapika surpasses Gon and Killua several times over, to the point where he could easily defeat both of them at the same time. Gon and Killua are stated to be 1 in 10 million talents, and because of this, they learn the basics of Nen from their master Wing very easily. On top of their Nen training, they're also getting considerably stronger from the battle experience they gain against other Nen users in Heaven's Arena. Kurapika, on the other hand, with zero notable battle experience, just pure instruction from his Nen master, not only learns the basics of Nen, but he also develops 5 different Hatsu abilities, at least 3 conditional Nen abilities, and masters Een, an advanced form of Zetsu that makes your aura invisible. Een is a form of Nen Gon and Killua still have never displayed, even now, as of the latest chapters of the Dark Continent. To put that into perspective, Kurapika in just 6 months of Nen instruction developed more Hatsu and conditional Nen abilities than Killua has throughout the entirety of the series. Kurapika says Nen is strongly affected by your mental state, and that his own power is fueled by hatred. This is the reason for Kurapika's exponential growth. His hatred led him to creating numerous conditional Nen abilities, each one risking his life, something that most hunters are not crazy enough to do. The more you risk with conditional Nen, the stronger the power you receive, and as a result, Kurapika has made himself extremely powerful in a very short time. With this newfound power, Kurapika bullies and demolishes the physically strongest member of the Phantom Troop, Uvojin, a character that even start of Chimera Ant arc, Gon and Killua would have an extremely difficult time with. Many fans believe start of Chimera Ant arc Gon and Killua would get straight up demolished by Uvojin. To put that into perspective, according to Togashi's Nen proficiency page, Uvojin was a genius level enhancer, ranked 2 full tiers in Nen proficiency above Morel. Morel being a guy who defeated numerous squadron leaders while he himself was not even at half power and was the boss of Shoot. Shoot being a hunter who not only defeated Nen Needle Killua, but straight up says he was stronger than Chimera Ant arc Gon as well. For Kurapika to bully, block attacks from, and speed blitz an enhancer 2 full tiers above Morel at the very beginning of the series is absolute insanity. A common misconception about Kurapika is that he only has access to this power when fighting Phantom Troop members, but the reality is the only ability exclusive to fighting the Phantom Troop is Chain Jail, and Chain Jail is not even Kurapika's strongest ability. Most of Kurapika's power comes from Emperor Time, an ability where when his eyes become scarlet, he gains 100% effectiveness in all Nen types and becomes so powerful that he takes 0 damage from 20% Uvojin punches and can speed blitz and slap 50% Uvojin around like he's a fodder character. All Chain Jail does is trap Phantom Troop members and force them into Zetsu. In the Succession War arc, Kurapika reveals he developed an ability that's pretty much the same thing as Chain Jail, but slightly better and works on non-spiders. This ability is called Dolphin Chain. Dolphin Chain, if it hits his opponent, literally steals their Hatsu ability from them and lets Kurapika use the ability himself. Dolphin Chain then drains their aura to the point where they're forced into a state similar to Zetsu, in which they would die from being exposed to the smallest amount of malicious aura. Furthermore, Kurapika has 3 other completely broken Hatsus and several more conditional Nens, each attached to his life, making him an absolute monster. And all of these abilities work on non-spiders. And finally, Kurapika states that he's now learned how to enter into his Scarlet Eye state, Emperor Time, at will during his 6 months of training. Phantom Troop Arc Kurapika is so powerful, Gon and Killua working together would get absolutely low-diffed by him, even without using Chain Jail. Gon and Killua aren't even strong enough to damage Kurapika in his Emperor Time state, and Judgment Chain would one-shot both of them. Judgment Chain being an ability that instantly crushes the heart of Kurapika's opponent if they don't follow the rules that Kurapika sets. Against Uvojin, he sets a rule where Uvojin had to answer his question truthfully or die immediately. We don't know the limits to what the rules could be, but for a genius like Kurapika, thinking of a verbal-based rule on the fly that Killua or Gon would rather die than follow is 100% within the realm of his capability. For example, he could say, verbally make a contract that you'll never see Gon again. Lying or refusing to comply would kill Killua instantly, and similar conditions could easily be thought of for Gon as well. And Kurapika states he can use Judgment Chain on anyone as long as he's using Emperor Time. Killua himself states that as Gon and Killua are right now, they stand absolutely no chance against Phantom Troop members. Meanwhile, Kurapika literally embarrassed the physically strongest member of the Phantom Troop in hand-to-hand combat. As far as the Phantom Troop arc goes, Killua stands no chance against Kurapika the moment Kurapika uses Emperor Time, even without Chain Jail. The next major arc is Greed Island. Greed Island being a Nen-dominated battleground, literally hand-designed by Jing to be a massive training arc for Gon Freaksis. At the start of Greed Island, Gon and Killua are so weak that both of them working together scale below full power Beanalt and can only hold their own due to the fact that he was massively damaged by Bisky. Then, after 2 weeks of raw battle experience alone, Gon and Killua have become so powerful that they can both defeat full power healthy Beanalt 1v1, showing that battle experience plays a huge role in increasing the fighting power of talented hunters. Gon and Killua then go on to spend in the range of 6 months to a full year, becoming several to dozens of times stronger than that by learning the fundamentals of advanced Nen combat, Ken and Ryu, and further developing their Hatsu abilities with their Nen Master Bisky. And on top of all of this, they get countless more battles worth of Nen combat experience by defeating the monsters of the Greed Island video game. Killua begins fighting with his 100-pound yo-yos and develops his Lightning Palm ability. Despite all their training, at the end of Greed Island, Gon and Killua still scale below Uvojin considerably, proven by Uvojin while holding back massively, casually blocking anti-tank bazooka rockets with the palm of his hand and literally laughing about it. Meanwhile, Gon, an enhancer with defense abilities about dead even to Killua's, after all of their training on Greed Island, was literally getting blown to smithereens by Genthru's Little Flower ability. Little Flower creates small explosions, but Gon's Nen defense was so weak at this point in the series that Gon was not strong enough to defend 2 Little Flower explosions at once. It required the majority of his Nen defense just to block one. During Greed Island, we don't see Kurapika at all, but we should acknowledge the narrative elements that heavily imply that Kurapika would have gotten stronger than he was during Phantom Troop. At the end of the Phantom Troop arc, Kurapika becomes a full-fledged member of the Mafia and begins obsessively hunting down criminals that have collected Kurta Scarlet Eyes. Seeing how Nen is heavily affected by a hunter's mental state, coupled with the fact that Kurapika is a revenge-obsessed genius so crazy that he got a bigger power-up from just 6 months of basic Nen nen instruction than Gon and Killua did, with 6 months of nen instruction combined with battle experience back in Heaven's Arena. Many fans believe that Kurapika, after 6 months to a full year of obsessively hunting down criminals as a mafia member, would have gotten power-ups at least somewhat comparable to the power-ups Gon and Killua received through Greed Island. This is further implied during the Succession War, where we see Kurapika has learned so much about nen that he's teaching nen basics to others, and can do level 1 number transformation smoothly and easily, something Gon struggled with even after learning to fight full speed with Ken and Ryu. But let's ignore all of that for now and just say Greed Island Kurapika is exactly the same strength as Phantom Troop Arc Kurapika. We'll further elaborate on Kurapika's power-ups in much more detail during the Chimera Ant Arc and Dark Continent portions of this video. Against Phantom Troop Arc Kurapika, Greed Island Killua has gotten so much stronger now that he would absolutely demolish base form Kurapika. The speed and power difference would be too great, and Kurapika would get overwhelmed by Killua's assassin techniques, but the moment Kurapika's eyes turn scarlet and he begins using Emperor Time, even End of Greed Island Killua would be in serious danger. End of Greed Island Killua would have 1 to 2 potential win conditions over full power Emperor Time Phantom Troop Arc Kurapika. The first win condition would be to shock Kurapika with lightning palms and hope that the momentary paralysis turns Kurapika's nen defense off as well, then kills Kurapika during that brief moment of paralysis. The second win condition is that Killua, with a full power Ko punch, might be able to severely damage Kurapika even in his Emperor Time state, but in all honesty, this is a bit of a highball for Greed Island Killua's powers. That is because Killua's full power Ko punch scales below the power of Greed Island Gon's rock ability. Meanwhile, Razor was able to hold his own against Gon's full power rock ability, and Razor ranks 2 full tiers below Uvojin in nen proficiency, and Razor's not even an enhancer. In complete honesty, even with Ko, there's a real possibility that Greed Island Killua is still weaker than the 50% Uvojin that Kurapika was slapping around, and Kurapika's nen defense, even back in Phantom Troop, was very impressive. Not only did Kurapika take 0 damage blocking a 20% punch from Uvojin, but Kurapika also showed he was strong enough to block full power Big Bang impact from Uvojin without dying. Kurapika then instantly regenerated back to full health and continued slapping Uvojin silly like nothing happened. Nothing in Killua's entire arsenal is even close in power to Big Bang impact by the end of Greed Island, and when you factor in that Kurapika can use Een to make his chains invisible and has Judgment Chain as a one-shot ability, it's a terrible matchup for Greed Island Killua. Furthermore, when you consider the real possibility that Kurapika might have performed all these feats against Uvojin without even using Ken or Ryu, and that techniques like Ken make you several times more durable than Ten, proven in the battle of Gon versus Knuckle, where Gon states, "If I wasn't using Ken, Knuckle would have one-shot me with one of his warm-up punches." A hypothetical Greed Island Kurapika versus Greed Island Killua becomes a really bad mismatch even if you lowball Kurapika massively. There's a few other factors to this fight, such as the fact that Killua has learned some of Kurapika's abilities during the Phantom Troop arc. This is truly fascinating because Kurapika at first lies to Killua about how his nen abilities work. A consistent theme with Kurapika's character is that he truly does not trust anyone except himself. Kurapika lies to Gon, Killua, and Leorio and tells them that his abilities only work on the Phantom Troop. Gon sees through this lie and asks Kurapika, "Well then, how did you use a chain on yourself?" Kurapika then explains the true details of his abilities only to Gon, while Killua and Leorio walk into another room. After explaining the majority of his powers in detail, Killua pops back up and asks Kurapika, "Can you make multiple judgment chains and use them on me and Leorio as well?" To which Kurapika answers, "Yes, I can." The reality is, it's possible that Killua was eavesdropping and heard the explanation to all of Kurapika's powers, but it's also equally likely that Killua only knows 2 things about Kurapika's powers. One being the lie Kurapika told him that his powers only work on the Phantom Troop, and 2, the truth Kurapika told him that he can use conditions to use Judgment Chain on others. Either way, if Greed Island Killua were to fight Kurapika Kurapika, he would be very cautious of Kurapika's chains. Worst case scenario, he would believe Kurapika's first lie and fall for the trick of being hit by an invisible chain, similar to Uvojin. Best case scenario, Killua would use Gyo, avoid being hit by the chains, but slowly get beaten down by Emperor Time Kurapika, who was casually beating the brakes off 50% Uvojin, even without using his chains. And now, Kurapika would be even stronger due to gaining 6 months to a year of obsessed battle experience. Knowing a Nen user's abilities while your opponent does not know your own abilities is a massive advantage in Nen combat. So for the final segment of this video, we'll assume that neither Killua or Kurapika know one another's abilities to figure out from a power scaling perspective who is truly the stronger hunter between these two characters. And to wrap the video up, I'll add an extra segment to say who would win if both characters had prep time and understanding of one another's abilities at the very end of the video. So now let's talk about full power post-Chimera Antarch Killua versus full power Dark Continent Kurapika. In other words, this is the strongest possible form that has been displayed for both characters. During the Chimera Antarch, Killua becomes considerably more powerful as the battle experience he gains in this arc forces him to evolve numerous times over. He removes the Nen needle from his head and begins fighting more like a confident hunter rather than just a careful assassin, and he develops one of the most broken Hatsu abilities in the entire series, Godspeed. This ability lets Killua fight at the speed of lightning, a speed so fast in the verse of Hunter x Hunter that Yuppie couldn't even react to him. And start of Chimera Antarch Killua develops a mid-range lightning bolt attack as well. So how would Kurapika do against this monster of a character? Would he just get speed blitzed and die instantly? Or would Kurapika actually stand a chance? So Kurapika has now spent a total of 2 years as a bounty hunter in the Mafia and has become a full-fledged Mafia boss. He spent the last 2 years completely obsessed with getting the eyes back of his fallen family, to the point where it's fundamentally changed him as a person. When we see Kurapika again, he's become dark and ruthless. At a glance, the Zodiac member Misa Stone's first impression of Kurapika is a man who's seen a lot of carnage. Kurapika goes on to reveal that he's killed and tortured several people in the process of getting his family's eyes back. This is in stark contrast to the Kurapika who hated the sensation of killing Uvojin. Now Kurapika is cold and will kill or torture people with zero hesitation. Kurapika has also gained a lot of battle experience during his 2 years as a bounty hunter in the Mafia, so much so that now he's even confident in his ability to fight members of the Zodiac, even though he knows they are not members of the Phantom Troop. The moment a Zodiac member irritates him, Kurapika is willing to fight him 1v1. Most of the criminals that have collected the Kurta eyes are not Phantom Troop members, so Kurapika has developed his Nen abilities to be able to better track down and kill people that are not members of the Phantom Troop. This is heavily implied with Emperor Time, in which Kurapika states he added additional conditions to Emperor Time and goes on to say that Emperor Time takes 1 hour off his lifespan every second that he uses it. One interpretation of this statement is that this lifespan draining condition was always part of Emperor Time even during Phantom Troop, but it's more heavily implied that Kurapika added these conditions to Emperor Time during his 2 years in the Mafia after the Phantom Troop arc. That way Kurapika would have more power for hunting down non-spiders. Kurapika making Emperor Time a conditional Nen ability that shortens his lifespan is an insane power-up, because conditional Nen attached to a person's life is an exponential increase in power, meaning now Kurapika's Emperor Time would be exponentially stronger than it already was when he speed blitzed and decimated 50% Uvojin. A lowball estimation for Kurapika's Emperor Time with this new conditional Nen would be in the range of 3 to 5 times stronger than it was when Kurapika bullied 50% Uvojin, making Emperor Time Kurapika about 2 times stronger than full power Uvojin, even without the use of his chain abilities at all, just using Emperor Time and boxing, not even counting the power he gained from battle experience. Considering that Kurapika states resolution and conviction strengthen Nen, and Kurapika spent 2 years doing nothing but obsessively fighting for revenge, adding that battle experience multiplier on top of Emperor Time, you start to realize Kurapika is truly a monster now. Gon and Killua got dozens of times stronger from training and battle experience during 6 months to 1 year of being on Greed Island, and just learning Nen techniques like Ko on its own can make your attacks dozens of times stronger. When you combine Kurapika's improved Nen abilities with the real possibility that Emperor Time might have just recently become a life-risking conditional Nen ability, and Kurapika's insane amounts of battle experience, many fans believe Kurapika got dozens of times stronger overall than he was during the Phantom Troop arc. Furthermore, it's implied that Kurapika might have one hidden ability that he can use to quickly defeat non-spiders that he's saving for the 4th prince. Kurapika states that if he can get close to the 4th prince for even a moment, then the mission of hunting down the prince is over, and all his hired employees can just go home and consider the mission was completed. We literally don't even know what Kurapika meant by that exactly, but it could mean Kurapika has an ability that would one-shot the 4th prince. All that being said, let's just lowball Kurapika massively and say he's overall only 4 times stronger than he was during the Phantom Troop arc. This really is a disgusting lowball. Many fans believe he's dozens of times stronger now, and he honestly very well might be. During the Phantom Troop arc, Kurapika was physically on par with 50% Uvojin while using Emperor Time. Multiply that by 4, and Kurapika is about twice as powerful as Uvojin during the Succession War. So when you look at Dark Continent Kurapika in Emperor Time, just imagine a character twice as strong, twice as durable, and twice as fast as full power Uvojin, but also has 4 broken Hatsus that he can use on anyone, numerous conditional Nen abilities, the ability to heal himself instantly, and he's an absolute genius. With this much power and defense, Killua is not going to be able to land a lethal attack on Kurapika unless Kurapika's in his base form, or Kurapika's not using aura defense in Emperor Time. Overall, against this monster, due to the versatility and speed of Killua, Killua would have 2 to 3 win conditions. Meanwhile, Kurapika would have 3 to 4 win conditions. Killua's win conditions would again rely on the paralysis effect of lightning. Killua could hit Kurapika with a lightning bolt, and if the paralysis turns Kurapika's Nen defense off, then Killua could kill Kurapika while he's paralyzed. The same applies with Godspeed. If the lightning turns off Kurapika's Nen defense, then Godspeed Killua could end the battle in one Godspeed combo. The third win condition for Killua is more of a toss-up, which would be Speed Blitz and kill Kurapika before Kurapika uses Emperor Time. But seeing how Kurapika is a genius, it's likely that Kurapika would use Emperor Time the very moment he sees Killua transform. Most people would do that, so a genius like Kurapika would likely do the same. However, if the lightning does not turn off Kurapika's Nen defense, then Kurapika would survive the Godspeed onslaught, instantly heal himself with the thumb chain, then Killua would have to fight full power Kurapika while Killua could no longer use lightning of any kind. Kurapika would then have a plethora of moves to choose from to one-shot Killua, and the fight would end there. In more detail, all Kurapika has to do is land Judgment Chain or Dolphin Chain, or survive a Godspeed onslaught and beat Killua down using Emperor Time. Any of these 3 scenarios would result in a guaranteed victory for Kurapika. All this being said, Kurapika is narratively a character who is relative to the Zodiac now. Meanwhile, Killua is a character that narratively is slightly above Knuckle and Shoot, but still below Morel in overall Nen combat ability. And the Zodiac are all stated to be stronger than Morel. Morel is designed specifically for defeating speedsters. His 256 clones plus Smoky Jail combo is the ultimate counter to Godspeed. Even Yuppie could not break Smoky Jail, and all Morel would have to do is trap Killua in Smoky Jail while Killua fights the 256 clones. Godspeed would run out, and then the fight would be over. Morel himself states it's easy to defeat characters that over-rely on speed. All that being said, Kurapika is narratively overall a more powerful Nen user than Killua at the moment, even without Change Ale. But Killua can still defeat Kurapika under the right situations. That's the essence of Nen combat. To put a more visible scale to it, in overall Nen combat, if characters like Netero are S-tier combatants, then Killua would be in the range of C+ to B-, while Kurapika would be in the range of B to B+. Now finally, who would win between these two characters if they both know each other's abilities and both had prep time to defeat one another? When you're dealing with two Nen users this close in overall combat ability and give both of them prep time, the winner will be decided by who is smarter between the two characters. And narratively, Kurapika is still just a slight bit smarter than Killua. A consistent theme throughout the entire series is that every group Kurapika is placed in, he naturally becomes the leader and begins giving 200 IQ level strategies effortlessly. This was even shown as early as the Phantom Troop arc in their own friend group. When hunting the spiders, Gon, Killua, and Leorio sit down with Kurapika and literally ask him, "What should we do next, Kurapika?" Kurapika then immediately thinks of a plan and gives orders for all three of them to follow, even Killua, and the plan ends up working perfectly. Start of the Phantom Troop arc, when the Mafia bodyguard leader dies, Kurapika is naturally elected as the leader and becomes the right-hand man of the head of the Mafia boss almost instantly. Throughout the Succession War, Kurapika has become such a leader, he literally hires his old Nen Master, Gon and Killua's Nen Master, and Hanzo all as his employees, and is their boss the entirety of the Succession War. Then Kurapika goes on to lead the bodyguard group in charge of protecting the 14th Prince, and literally every time Kurapika's on screen during this arc, he says nothing but non-stop 200 IQ perfect strategies thought of by Kurapika on the fly, back to back, and they literally all keep working. One of the most impressive big IQ plays from Kurapika is that he teaches the basics of Nen to one of the princes while simultaneously delivering a message in code to one of the queens that only the queen would understand, and he does all of this in front of the prince and numerous other intelligent characters, and no one notices he's doing it. Kurapika's intelligence feats are just genuinely bonkers, so despite Killua being a genius, Kurapika is narratively just a slight bit smarter than Killua is. That's everything I wanted to say. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see ya on the next one.